Okay, so I said I was going to solve the rear trunk gas shock issue. So let me tell you the facts here. This shock is made by Suspa, all right? And the Suspa part number is hold on here, C16-28002. If you go on the Suspa website, they want $95 for this. The BRP number, which is printed on here, is 708-300-383. BRP wants $59 for it. Not sure why Suspa is charging double what BRP parts everywhere you look are. So I'm thinking $59 for a lousy gas shock. So I went to the auto parts store and tried to find one this length that wasn't too beefy and too strong. This thing hardly has any strength. If you remove this, you can easily compress it with your hand. See, now that my spring's on there, anyway, you can easily compress it with your hand, whereas regular gas shocks, they're like way stronger than this. I don't know how many pounds this stock one is, but it's not that strong. All right, so as you know, when you add HMT and then you put like I have, my shock's not in right now, and if you put stuff like this in, the gas shock won't hold the lid open. At least it wears out after a short period of time, enough that the gas shock won't hold it open. All right. So rather than spend $59, I thought I'd try to rig up my own solution. As you see, I put a spring on there. So let me tell you where I got this spring. I went to an RC car store and bought a set of four-wheel drive RC car shocks, right? And you can see there's a nice spring on there. And it's a pretty good spring. You can see I can compress it with my hand. So what I did is, what you need to do is when this gas shock's completely compressed, you don't want too much spring, meaning when the spring is fully compressed and all the coils are touching, it can't be longer than this gas shock is compressed. All right, so when you have the lid closed, and this is bolted on the Spyder, and you have the lid closed, you have to look at the gap between here and the bottom here. It'll be somewhere around here. All right, this spring fully compresses. You'll see it when I get it in there. So what you don't want to do is get too long a spring, because when it's fully compressed, you don't want it to not allow the shock to fully compress. So anyway, what I did is I took the spring off this, and then I stretched it out till it was probably as long as from here to about here. All right, just a little longer than the shock. All right, and I just kept stretching on the coils, and made the spring longer. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and bolt this on. I've already tested it. I'm gonna show you what it looks like, but I've already tested it and it works. My lid now stays up, and you can close it. So the spring is not a super strong spring, but it's just enough to give a little bit of extra push to this gas shock and keep the lid up. Anyway, let's bolt it on and take a look. By the way, word of warning, when you take the shock out of here, there is a bushing. Make sure, because it's right over the hole of death behind the seat. When you pull this thing out, if this bushing falls out and goes down that hole, you'll forever have lost it. So be careful pulling this out. Pull it out like this, and then let the bushing come out. All right, so anyway, I'm gonna bolt it in. And there it is in. And let's see if I can block some light here. Come on, there we go. There it is in. Gas shock is in. There's the spring. Lid is up, and as you can see, even tapping on it, it doesn't fall. See that? It's doing its job. So gas shock is doing its job. All right, close it, and I'll show you what I mean about too long of a spring when fully compressed. You see that? You have this much gap to play with when the lid is closed. All these coils should not be jammed up so that it won't let the shock close all the way. So when you locate a spring, make sure it's not too long. And I didn't measure between here and here. I'll tell you what, I will measure that and tell you the closed distance, all right? And when you're looking for a spring, just make sure when it's fully compressed, it's shorter than that distance. All right, but that solved my lid problem, as you can see. No, I didn't have to spend $59 on an extra gas shock to put on the other side, and lid stays up perfectly, as you can see. I mean, before, man, first off, it would tend to stay up on me, but if you even bump the bike, or eventually it would just sit there and slowly and then fall. So bottom line, the spring fixed it. We'll see how long the spring lasts.